Last Tuesday, we were able to cover 3 sentence patterns. You have SIV, SLVC, and Stbdo. It was also mentioned last Tuesday that for this day, we shall do 2 sentence patterns which come out as extensions of the Stbdo sentence pattern. First, we have this one, STVIODO. For the purpose of a short recap, let's classify the 3 other components aside from the one that we already encircled. The letter S stands for the subject, the one that's being talked about in your sentence. The topic of your sentence is what we refer to as the subject. The verb that we have here is a transitive verb. What makes a verb transitive? A verb becomes transitive if it needs or requires a receiver or a direct object. That brings us to this component, the DO. What do we mean by a direct object? A direct object is a receiver. This receiver is what we shall refer to as the receiver of the action. In fact, it receives, as a receiver, it answers questions like for what, no, not for what, sorry. It answers questions like what or who or whom. Now we are brought to another component, the indirect object or the IO. This is another receiver, just a sort of added information. All objects in grammar are termed as receivers. They are known to be receivers. Take note of that. There are actually just 3 though. The DO is one, direct object. Another object is the indirect object. The third object in grammar is known as the object of the preposition. That is a word, a noun or a pronoun, which acts as a receiver of the relation established by your preposition. So 3 receivers. But we can put the OP aside for the meantime because it's found in a prepositional phrase. And last Tuesday, we discovered that our sentences can survive without a prepositional phrase. It's fine if your sentence doesn't hold one, doesn't contain any prepositional phrase at all. Once again, our attention is brought to the indirect object. What kind of receiver is this? If the direct object receives the action, or is defined as the receiver of the action, basically, your indirect object receives the direct object. It answers the questions for whom or to whom is your direct object. For whom is that DO? To whom will that DO be given? Because again, we are in consideration here of a receiver. Whosoever, whatsoever receives your direct object, we call that your indirect object. However, please be careful. The answer to any of these questions can actually be found also in a prepositional phrase. Given that your statement may have a prepositional phrase and the OP receives the DO, that will not make an STVIODO. Let's have sentences to concretize this. Can I erase all of this now? Okay. Let's have this sentence. And I hope that sentence is clear enough. Mom gave me a medal. Let's try to classify its components or parts because basically that's what you're supposed to do in FT1. What is the subject in this sentence, Ralph?
Mom, sir.
Mom, correct. That's our S. That's our subject. What is our verb? Alanes. Alanes?
Gave, sir.
Gave, correct. Mom gave what? What did mom give, Claire?
A medal.
A medal, correct. Take note, the word medal answers the question what? So how do we classify medal, Avril?
Medal is a direct object.
It's the direct object. Same thing that I did last time. If you realize, if you find out that you have a direct object, that means that your verb is a transitive verb. But take note, there's one more important component in this sentence, and it is the word me. The question that we can ask ourselves is, to whom was that medal given? What's the answer, Clarice?
Me.
Again?
Me.
Me, correct. Take note, me answered the question, to whom was the medal given? And so we identify me as our indirect object. Sentence pattern, Stbdo. Another, I don't know if I write as an example, it might not be clear anymore. Can I just erase this? Is it all right? Erase it now. If I squeeze the example somewhere here at the bottom, I'm not sure if it will still appear clear to everyone. So another sentence. And I hope that's clear. The sentence is, the officer provided the men a series of rules. Again, our sentence is, the officer provided the men a series of rules. What is the subject in this sentence, Erwin?
The officer.
Again, sorry?
Officer.
Officer, correct. It's our subject. What is our verb? George. No response from George.
Provided.
Nick. George. Yes, George.
Provided.
Provided, correct. That's our verb. I hope you can still see clearly the label. What is provided by the officer? What was provided by the officer? The officer provided what? What's the answer, Nikki?
A series of rules.
Series of rules, correct. So you can call this, since this answered the question what, Nikki, how do you call then series of rules?
A direct object.
Correct, your direct object. Next question. To whom or for whom was the series of rules, Shania?
The men.
Men, correct. The word men answer the questions to whom or for whom. And so, Shania, how do we classify men?
An indirect object.
An indirect object. And take note, if we have a direct object, our verb is a transitive verb. Sentence pattern, S, T, V, I, O, D, O. Can I erase this? Is it fine to erase this now? Okay. I'm going to erase this because I'm going to show to you another sentence that is capable of answering, that contains something that is capable of answering the questions to whom or for whom. It's just that the answer is not an indirect object. Like this. Can I use once again mom gave or a medal? I'll just use that one. That's our sentence. Mom gave a medal to me. Subject, like last time, like earlier, is mom. Verb, gave. Mom gave what? Same answer, medal. In the sentence, in the first sentence that we had this afternoon, we classified medal as our direct object because it answered the question what? And then, if we have a direct object, our verb is a transitive verb. Now, for whom or to whom was that medal? Claire?
To me.
To me, correct. How do you call me then? How do we classify me? Will we call me the indirect object? We won't. Me is an object of the preposition. Take note. Me is found in this group of words. This is a prepositional phrase. And like what I said last Tuesday, like what we realized last Tuesday, our sentences may live even without a prepositional phrase. In fact, if you end your sentence here, mom gave a medal, your sentence is fine. Just because the answer to the questions for whom or to whom is there doesn't mean that the answer is an IO. It is most possibly as well an object of the preposition. The second sentence that we had, the officer provided the men a series of rules. You can have that restructured as the officer provided a series of rules to the men. In that case, the sentence pattern is just Stbdo still. Because to the men doesn't make men an IO, it makes men an OP, the object of the preposition to. Thus, your sentence pattern is again very particular with what words are found and how they are placed in your sentence. Questions regarding the STVIODO sentence pattern? Any question? If there's none, I'll erase this. I'll proceed to the last basic sentence pattern. I hope it's fine that I erase this one. The last in our list of basic sentence patterns is known as STVDO OC. So we have the OC as an added element to our sentence pattern. Last Tuesday, we had a C. The letter C last Tuesday was made to represent the complement or the subjective complement, a complement to your subject. This time we have a complement known as the objective complement. Consider what our guide questions are for the subjective complement. Remember those relationships, the two arrows? Can the subject be the complement? Yes. Can the complement be the subject, reflect the subject? Yes. We need to see that same relationship between our direct object and this objective complement. The term objective complement has been created because our complement is a complement to the direct object. It's a word that gives us a kind of reference to our direct object. So they have that relationship. For example, is it all right to erase this? I feel like I will not write on this part because it just might be too close to the bottom part of the video. Bottom part of the frame, part of the video. Okay. Let's have a sentence that goes this way. Simple sentences, common sentences. Sentence. You cannot see me anymore. My friend called me handsome. What is the subject in this sentence? Claire.
Friend.
Friend, correct. What is the verb? Jukon.
Cold.
Called, correct. My friend called whom? Who did my friend, was not whom. My friend called who? Who did my friend call? Nikki.
Me.
Me, correct. The word me just answered the question who. Remember? What, who, whom, these questions can be answered by our direct object. So we shall classify me as our DO. And again, if we have a direct object, that means that our verb is a transitive verb. But your sentence doesn't end there. There is still one more important component in this sentence, which is represented by the word handsome. Now, consider this. Can the person represented by the pronoun me be the one who is referred to as handsome? Clarice.
What do you mean, sir?
Can the person represented by the pronoun me be the person described as handsome?
Yes.
Can that word handsome be in reference to the person me in the sentence?
Yes.
And so, this is indeed a complement. This is indeed a complement to the word me. It is in reference to our direct object. And since its reference is with the direct object, we shall call this an objective complement. Sentence pattern, STVDOOC. Is it all right to erase this so that I can put another sentence on the board? Can I? Okay. Another sentence. Okay, it can be seen. That's your sentence. And I hope it's clear. I don't know, something happened with the marker. Everyone in class voted her class mayor. So that's our sentence. Everyone in class voted her class mayor. What is the subject in the sentence? George. No response. Avril.
Everyone.
It's everyone, correct. Sir, is it not in class or is it not the word class? No. Take note. How do you call in class? This is a prepositional phrase. And what was said about prepositional phrases? We can take them out from a sentence and the sentence is fine. If you take that out, everyone voted her class mayor, we have a fine sentence. In class, it's just an additional information placed in the structure of a prepositional phrase. So our subject is everyone. What's our verb? Erwin.
Voted.
Voted, correct. Voted whom? Claire.
Her?
Her, correct. How do we classify her, Claire?
An indirect object.
It's the direct object, correct.
There.
If you have a direct object, again, your verb is a transitive verb. And one final thing. Can this person, her, can this person represented by the pronoun her be the class mayor, Shania? Can this person represented by the pronoun her be the class mayor?
Yes.
Can the class mayor be this person represented by the pronoun her?
Yes.
And so how do we call class mayor?
A complement.
A complement. And it is a complement to your direct object. And so to be more specific, we call it an objective complement. Sir, why can we not just call it a complement? If you call it merely as a complement, take note, another sentence pattern lives by that label, SLVC. If you just use the word C, it might be misinterpreted as a complement to the subject in this pattern, but that's not the case. This complement is rather a complement to your direct object. And so we term it as an OC. Sentence pattern, S, TV, DO, OC. Questions regarding the fifth sentence pattern. Can I erase this, all of this? I'll erase this now. Any question, grade 9? Anything you'd like to ask? Any confusion regarding the lesson on sentence patterns? Before we go over the items in your FTs 1 and 2.
None.
Are you sure? Why do I feel like in the ST, that's when your questions are going to come out? Because that's what usually happens. Any question? Go, go, go. Try to go over the examples I have given. And then if there's anything that has confused you, it would really help if you ask these questions, you raise these confusions right now, while your ST has yet to be taken next week, and while FTs are still to be checked today. Module. The grade 9 module. Here. Any question, people? Any question? Anything that is clouding your minds right now of doubt? For a while, I'm going to set my computer because I'm going to use my headset again. Wait. Okay. Shall we go over your answers for FT1? Take note, the task in FT1 begins by underlining the most important elements found in every sentence. You might have noticed that in the examples I have given to you, I did not underline all words in a sentence. I underlined only those which are the ones I consider to be significant, necessary to be underlined in order to have our sentence pattern completely identified. Secondly, you are to provide labels below each of those underlying components or elements of the sentence. The labeling is to supposedly guide you in determining your sentence pattern. For example, this of number 1. What are to be underlined? We begin with our I. And then you underline could. Together with that is find. And then we have answer. Sir, what if I underlined everything? When you underline everything, at least you should have still done it in segments. Meaning, you underline this group separately, while this one is taken as a separately underlined component. Okay, I'll consider that. Let's color this with yellow. Let's color this with blue. Oh my God. Blue. Let's color this one with purple. Personally, I would not want to include not in the underlining. Why? Because not is not a verb. What shall we use to classify the pronoun I? The pronoun I here functions as the subject. Could find functions as your transitive verb. An answer to the question, this is an answer to the question what? I could not find what. The answer is answer to your question. And so we call this your direct object. Sentence pattern then is Stbdo. Sir, what if I did it as subject, transitive verb, direct object? Good. But if you went only with the letter codes, that's more than acceptable, that's more than fine. Let's do number 2. By the way, I should inform you, in case we don't finish all of these items today, like at this hour, I'm willing to open the call at 3:30 to 4:30 for any confusion and question regarding sentence patterns. If there are others who are willing to enter that call, please do so. It's fine. I'll use the same link for grade 9 English. If you don't feel like entering the call later on, it's also fine with me. At least I will have opened that hour for whatever concern and question you have for sentence patterns. For number 2, we underline she, and we color that with yellow. We underline is becoming. We underline this and we color that with blue. And then we underline happy and color that with purple. Sir, what about every day? Every day is an adverb of time, which we can just remove from the sentence. How do we classify she? We call she your subject. Is becoming. From the word becoming, unfortunately, we cannot see any action. There's none to see as an action from the word is becoming, from the verb is becoming. It rather qualifies as a verb that is a dormant verb, a linking verb at that. And then happy is your complement. Can she be the one who is becoming happy? What's the answer? Yes. Can the one who is becoming happy be this person represented by the pronoun she? The answer is another yes. And so our sentence pattern here is SLVC. Let's do number 3. Tomorrow would come with a surprise. We underline tomorrow because that is going to be our subject, and would come will be our verb. How do you call again with a surprise? How do you call with a surprise?
A prepositional phrase.
Correct. It's a prepositional phrase. Allow me to just highlight it. I will just highlight it, people. But I will not underline it because it's not supposed to be underlined. As said, we only underline those which are necessary to be considered in determining the pattern of that sentence. So we have the subject tomorrow. Our verb is an intransitive verb. Sentence pattern SIV. Sorry. Sir, what about with a surprise? Again, with a surprise, we term this as a prepositional phrase. And sentences may live without prepositional phrases. You can, in fact, end your sentence at come. Tomorrow would come. And their sentence is fine there. Number 4, I gave a score to the paper submitted to me last time. We underline I because it is a very important component in the sentence. We underline gave and color that with blue. We underline score and color it with purple. It's quite, wait, let's have a different color for a complement. Let's just, for uniformity's sake, let's color the complement with green. There's a complement. Because all direct objects, we've colored them with with purple. We shall color the linking verb differently. We'll color the linking verb with not with black. Why will I choose black? Gray. We'll color the intransitive verb differently. We'll have a different color for that, and that is, I think this color is fine. Okay. So once again, we have for number 4, we only have these significant parts. The pronoun I is our subject. Gave is our transitive verb. I gave what? Score. And that makes score your direct object. Sir, what about to the paper submitted to me last time? How do we call to the paper submitted to me last time? We term that your prepositional phrase. And you know what we do with prepositional phrases? We can just take them out. I forgot to identify this. This is supposed to be SIV. This one is SEVDO. Yes, Shania, you have a question.
Excuse me, sir, for the number, where is it? Number 3, sir. Can would be treated as a linking verb?
Would in number 3 is a helping verb to create what we call a verb phrase. A verb phrase is created by having a helping verb, that's would, and a main verb, that is come. So we cannot call would a linking verb. Take note, a verb becomes a linking verb if it bridges a subject and its complement. Shania, does that
Okay,
answer
sir.
your question?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do number 6, number 5 now. We underline she because again it's an important component, and we underline lives. We color that with blue. No, not blue. This. Why? Because this is a prepositional phrase. You mean to say, sir? Yes. Number 5 is composed of only 2 important components. She lives, to create a sentence pattern that is SIV. I hope many have gotten a perfect score of 5 over 5 so far. Sir, we forgot to underline. I'm not following instructions. Please, why did I let you do the underlining first? Because when you determine sentence patterns, it is taken from your ability to determine important components or parts of a sentence. With the hope that you did not just identify any part to be included in the classification or identification of the sentence pattern. Number 6 now. We underline I because again it's another important component. We underline was, another important component. Wait, we color I first. We color I with yeller. We underline was and color it with silver or gray. And we underline surprised and color it with green. That should tell you that our sentence pattern here is S, LV, C. S, LV, C. Sir, what is the role of really? Really is a mere adverb. We can take an adverb out of the sentence is fine. Sir, what is the role of by their performance? By their performance is another prepositional phrase. Number 7. Gwen doesn't anymore need your help. We underline the name of Gwen because that is our subject. We color that with the yellow. Does. I will not include the contraction with the contracted form of not because we are after only of the verb. So I'll just underline this and color that with blue. Put that together with this word because our verb here is needs. Negating needs includes the addition of the auxiliary verb does. And we underline help because it is our direct object. So Gwen is our subject. Our verb is a transitive verb. Take note, the label TV is not just for does. It's not for not. It's not also for anymore. The label transitive verb in number 7 is for the words does and need, thereby creating needs. And help is our direct object. How do we know that that's a direct object? Simple. Gwen doesn't anymore need what? What's the answer? Your help. Since what has been answered by your help, that means that help is indeed your direct object. Sentence pattern STVDO. Number 9, number 8 now, sorry, number 8. We underline she because that is our subject. We underline is because that is a linking verb in the sentence. And we underline certain because that is a complement. How do we know that that's a complement? Can the person represented by the pronoun she be the one who is not certain? Can the one who is not certain be the person represented by the pronoun she? For these two questions, our answer is yes. So certain is indeed a complement, and that means that your verb is a linking verb. There. And sentence pattern is SLV. Any questions so far? Sir, what about of her response? We know already that of her response is a prepositional phrase. Sir, why did you not underline not? Not is a mere additive element to negate the verb. Or to negate the idea of the person being certain, not the verb. In number 7, we do not anymore underline anymore because it's just a mere additional word for the purpose of emphasis. Any questions so far from numbers 1 to 8? Any question? Any question? May I know do we have students who are still who are in the score of 8/8 so far? Who got an 8/8? For out of the 8 numbers that have been answered, who has an 8/8? Avril, okay. What about Claire? 8/8. Clarice, 8/8. Okay, good. Shania, Erwin?
1 wrong, sir.
The error is in what number, Shania?
The number I asked, the 3.
Number 3, okay. What about Erwin? Score so far?
1 wrong, sir.
In what number?
7.
Number 7. What was your answer?
STBDOOC.
Oh, STBDOOC. Unfortunately, number 7 doesn't have an objective complement. Rainiel, what's your score so far? 4. Krisha?
7, sir.
So, I'm quite particular with those who are a point away from supposedly getting a perfect score. Krisha, which number did you get wrongly?
Number 1. I
Number
answered
1.
SLV.
Again, sorry. What's your answer for number 1?
SLVC. I
Oh,
was nalito.
SLVC. But the thing there is the person I cannot be that answer. Nor can the answer be the person I. So we cannot have an SLVC pattern there. Patrick, Ralph, Alanis, Jukon, what are your scores? So far from numbers 1 to 8.
I am 4, sir.
5, 4. What else? Please try to tell me if you are a point away from supposedly getting a perfect score, or like if there is any question or doubt so far, so that we can get rid of that, then we can manage to solve those problems for you. In number 9, we underline I. We underline voted. We underline myself. We underline president. And this is similar to one sentence that we had just earlier. We classify I as our subject, so we color that with yellow. We classify voted as our transitive verb, so we color that with blue. We classify the direct object with the color violet. Can this person represented by the pronoun myself be the president? Alanes. Alanes? In this sentence, can the person represented by the pronoun myself be this president? No response from Alanes. Ralph?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can the president be the person represented by the pronoun myself? Ralph?
Yes.
And so we shall call president our, wait, I think that color hasn't been chosen yet, our objective complement. So labels, let's do labels. S, E, V, O, O, C. Sentence pattern is S, T, V, D, O, O, C. Number 10, Denise inspired the other writers to join the competition. Subject is Denise, and so we color that with yellow. Verb is inspired. We color that with blue. Inspired whom? Writers. We call that your direct object. Sentence pattern S, T, V, D, O. Number 11. His dream is quite impossible. Subject here is not his. The subject is dream. Verb is. And another important component of the sentence is the word impossible. We shall color dream as yellow because that's our subject. Since we have a linking verb, we will color this with gray, light gray. And impossible is to be colored green. Can the dream be the one that is impossible, Krisha?
Sir?
Can the dream be the one that is quite impossible in the sentence?
Yes.
Can the one that is impossible be that dream, Krisha?
Yes, sir.
And so to those two questions, the answer is the same. It's a yes, which means that this dream and this word impossible are indeed in reference to each other. What are the functions of these words in the sentence? Dream is the subject. Impossible is the complement. And if you have a complement, that means that your verb is a linking verb. Sentence pattern S, L, V, C. Number 12. Subject is he. Verb is asked. He asked whom? Addicts. Have I underlined it? I did. So we color these parts. We color this with yellow because it's a subject. We color this with blue because it's a transitive verb. We color this with purple because it is the direct object. Sir, can we not answer the question what? There's a possible answer. He asked addicts for what? But just what? Not just what, but for what? He asked addicts for what? For the address of the criminal. But take note, for the address of the criminal is a prepositional phrase. And again, we only have these components to identify for our basic sentence pattern. STV, TO. Sentence pattern is STV, TO. 13. Brutus joined the guild of useless heroes. Underline the name of Brutus. Joined what? Since Brutus is our subject, we color this with yellow. Join is our verb, and it is a transitive one because there is a direct object. Brutus joined what? The guild. So what about of useless heroes? We call that your prepositional phrase. And so this is our subject, This is our DO. And once again, if you have a direct object, that means that your verb is a transitive verb. Sentence pattern, STVDO. Number 14. The game gave the players the chance to redeem themselves. Subject is game. Gave is our verb. Gave what? Chance. For whom was that chance? For the players. So let's look at the components. Game is the subject. We color that with yellow. Verb is our verb is gave. We call that with light blue because there is a direct object which we shall color in purple. Again, how do we know that there's a direct object? Simple. We can answer the question what? The game gave what? Chance. What was given by the game? Chance. So chance is the receiver of the act of giving. It was what was given. And for whom was it? For our indirect object, which in this sentence is the word players. So subject, transitive verb because we have a direct object, and that direct object is for our indirect object. Sentence pattern, STVIODO. Number 15. Students disappointed the teachers with the kind of performance they are showing. Subject is students. Disappointed is verb. Disappointed whom? The teachers. So we color this with yellow. This one is light blue because we have a direct object. DO. And if you have a DO, that means that your verb is a transitive verb. Sentence pattern, STVDO. 16. The pet owner gave the lovebirds some chips, causing them to die. If you underlined owner, it's fine. If you underline pet owner, that's also fine. I'll just underline both. It's our subject. Gave is our verb. And gave what? Chips. Or some chips. Okay, if you want to include some, it's fine. For whom were those chips? For the birds or for the lovebirds? Since gave is our verb and there's a direct object, we shall color that with blue for the transitive verb color. We have a direct object and that's chips. For whom were the chips? For the lovebirds. Lovebirds will be our indirect object. STV. Sorry. STVDO. And lovebirds would be your IO. Sentence pattern. STVIODO. 17. A new wallet contained many dollar bills. Wallet contained bills or many dollar bills. Wallet is our subject. Contained is our verb. Contained what? Bills or many dollar bills. Which means that this is our subject. Bills would be your DO or many dollar bills, that's your DO. And that means that if there's a direct object, your verb is again as a transitive verb. For 18. The paper bag was lost. You may underline bag, you may underline paper bag, it's fine. And that is our subject. This is our verb. This is our complement. Can the one that is lost be the paper bag? Yes. Can the paper bag be the one that is lost? What's the color for the linking verb? Silver, gray. And then we color this with green, if I'm not mistaken. So this is our subject. This is our linking verb. And this is our complement. Sentence pattern, SLVC. Number 19. The police officer hid the criminal from the eyes of the other officers. Police officer or police or officer. Color that with yellow. Hid is our verb. And we color that with light blue because there is a direct object. So that's our sentence pattern. If there's a direct object again, that means that you have a verb which is transitive. Sentence pattern Stbdo. Last number 20. The criminal gave the police officer some thanks by taking away his life. Criminal gave police officer thanks. Gave is the subject. It's criminal is the subject of the sentence. Color that with yellow. Verb shall be colored blue. Because we have a direct object, the criminal gave what? The answer is thanks, and we color thanks with purple. To whom were those thanks given? To the police officer. The police officer received our direct object. That makes police officer your indirect object. Since you have a TO, your verb is transitive, and that means your police officer in the sentence received the DO. Sentence pattern STVI. Sorry. Did you get the last part? I don't know what happened, but for some reasons I was pulled out of the call. Here's the answer for the last part, people. Last sentence. STVIODO. Because again, police officer, the police officer is our receiver of those thanks. So these are your answers for the 20 sentences in FP1. Again, it's STVIODO. Of course, you still have this. You make 5 sentences for each basic sentence pattern. Wait, is it just only now that you saw the sentences? So here's again the answer for number 20. Yes, Shania, your question is?
There are 8 more numbers in FT1.
Huh?
I think Ma'am Zen added them.
Really?
Yeah, 28 in all.
What's sentence 21? I didn't know.
John made Jane angry.
22.
22 is my long lost sister Tess has been writing a variety of essays.
S, like TESS,
TSS
has
has been
been.
writing a variety of essays.
I didn't know that these sentences are there. Next.
Kim dipped her donut into her milk before taking a bite.
Next.
Always remember that every night has its corresponding duty and every privilege has its concomitant responsibility.
Every night, like KNIGHT.
Every right
Every right, sorry, okay. Every right has its own
has its corresponding duty.
its corresponding duty, and
Every privilege has its concomitant responsibility.
25.
Although rain had been predicted, the sun shone.
Although rain had been predicted, the sun shone. 26.
Samantha called her sister a baby.
7.
The writer sold his publisher a 3-part story.
Last number, 28.
The king made Godwin a knight.
Godwin, a knight, like this.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just do this quickly, because I also have another class. This one is S T V D O O C. Why? Because John is our subject, need is the verb. Can Jane be the one who's angry? Yes. Can the one who's angry be Jane? Yes. My long lost sister Tess is in writing a variety of essays. This is STVDO. Kim dipped her donut, STVDO. Number 24 is a bit long, but it only runs as STVDO. STVDO. Why? Why is it an STVDO, sir? Take note, this one is a command. It's an imperative statement. Always remember. What should you remember? That every privilege, so all of this is your direct object. And remember is your transitive verb. Number 25 is SIV. What about this one, sir? Your sentence pattern depends on your independent clause, not on the dependent clause. Number 26, STVDOOC. 27, STVIODO. 28, STVDOOC. Sorry, OC. I didn't know that those sentences were added. Who got a perfect 28? I hope many did. I'll end the share screen now. Grade 9, I'll still open the call later on at 3:30 to 4:30 for whosoever has a question or a clarification that you want to raise for the lesson on sentence patterns. If you want to see me later, see you later on at 3:30. To those who don't want to enter the call later on, it's fine, it's totally fine. The meeting later at 3:30 to 4:30 is optional for those who for your class. If you feel like entering for clarifications, it's fine. If you don't feel like it, it's also fine with me. That'll be all for now. Goodbye and thank you, grade 9.
Goodbye and
Goodbye
thank
and
you.